Welcome to Issues and Insights. I'm George Pennington, your host today. And if you look around, we are at the Hardin County Animal Shelter. Is that correct? And we have our new director, Mike McNutt.
Hello.
So, Mike, welcome to E-Town. Welcome to Hardin County.
Thank you.
And we're tickled to have somebody down here of your caliber.
Well, thank you.
You're from PRP Panther Nation. So, if you would, give us a little bit about your background, and then we'll talk about some of the programs here.
I started out with the Kentucky Humane Society when I was 19 years old. It was 1989, actually. And I was there ever since, and never really was interested in applying for another job until I started coming down here. So down there, I've held every position possible. I was their rescue director for 7 years, which not only did I do their search and rescue stuff and animal disaster, but I also ran Henry, Trimble, and Spencer County Animal Controls at the same time, which was definitely a chore. But that's where I got my first taste of doing animal control. And when we taught the people what to do in those counties and took a step back, I realized how much I missed it. So when I found out that Jerry's a very good friend of mine, I've known him for 25 years. We have consulted on many different boards. We've called each other over in the middle of the night just because we didn't understand why somebody else was doing something. And I don't like following in his footsteps because he was a good guy and he really knew his stuff. But I didn't come to this shelter because I thought anything was broken. I think this is an excellent shelter, and I think that when I pulled up and saw the shelter and met the staff and the volunteers, I realized that there had been something missing in my life that I needed. So I know there's a lot of people that are telling me that they're the lucky ones for having me here, but I feel just the opposite. I'm the lucky one that I get to come here. So that's how I look at it.
That's awesome. Appreciate you being here. All right. While we're here, we have introduced the cameraman back there, and you don't have to turn around on you, but you have Mr. Kelly Berry helping us out. So, Kelly, keep us straight as we go through this. But what room are we in right now, Mike?
This is what they call the cat communal room. It's basically where we do an indoor cat colony. Cats in this type of atmosphere are less stressed, which means there's less risk of sickness, and it's actually a fun way to get them adopted because people can actually interact with them instead of looking at them in a cage. So that's basically what this room is used for.
And typically there are several cats in this room. When I came in, I think
there were 10 cats in here yesterday. We actually adopted one out, and then I do have several connections across the state of Kentucky. That from being in the business for 27 years, and I arranged a rescue for the other 9 cats. And the bottom line is I just want to save lives. And that's what this shelter and the people that I've met, that's what they're all about. So when I saw the opportunity to make a vacancy for more animals to move into this spot, I jumped on it.
That's awesome. And about how many animals do we have at this time out here, Mike? I think we're getting coached.
Yeah, I want to say about 75. And this is my 3rd day, and it's like I was telling you earlier. I just feel like every day I'm trying to get something done, and but I love it. That's the cool thing about it for me is that they're coming to me and saying it's time to leave, and I'm like, I just got here, and it's not. I've been here all day. So when you have my grandfather told me that if you love your job, you never work a day in your life. And I'm realizing that again in the past 3 days since I've been here. So that's really special if you can have that feeling, especially after putting in 27 years in the same business. To renew that is incredible.
Excellent. Technically it's fall, but as of December 21-ish, give or take a day, we'll be into winter.
Yes.
Tell us about winter care for animals, please.
Well, of course, if at all possible, I have all indoor animals. I would love to see all animals indoors if possible. I know that that's not possible for everybody. But for your outside animals and even your outside cats, if you can set up a some sort of dog house, or even something simple as a recycling box. Put some straw in it, maybe a blanket, something to help them get away from the cold. Straw generates heat. If you can get a heated dog house and safely do it, great. I've seen people use light bulbs in it. I kind of don't know how I feel about that fire-wise, but I've seen people use light bulbs in my interactions. Their water will freeze, so I don't know if typically I learned this from having horses my whole life, that I had to haul water and let them drink it and then dump it out every day, because if not, it would freeze. So if you think you're giving them water once a day is good enough, it's not. If it's cold enough to freeze, you need to at least give them water 3 or 4 times a day. Another little trick we use for our indoor dogs, a lot of people have small dogs. The small dogs don't like to go out into the snow because obviously it's up against their belly and it's cold on them. So we have what we call a winter tarp, and I lay a tarp down, and when I know it's going to snow, it snows, and then I pull that tarp up when I let my dogs out, and I give them grass to go on. It's really cool. If you ever try it, if you do try it, and you have indoor little dogs, you'll always do it. And it doesn't have to be a tarp. I've seen people use feed sacks. I've seen them use garbage bags. If you have a little tiny Yorkie, you can lay a garbage bag down and just remove it. Now, the important part is to put it back when the animal's done its business, so that if it keeps snowing, you can make it have grass again where it can go. But if you ever try it, it's phenomenal.
Excellent, excellent. And, what other topics do you like? Your third day in?
The third day in.
So, but you're free to talk about anything else that you'd like to tell the community.
Like I said, I came into this. My job at the time, when I got to know this new shelter, was I was coming down once a week and picking up animals for adoption for Kentucky Humane Society, who's based in Louisville. And I immediately felt like I was part of this staff. I wanted to be part of this staff. And when Jerry confided in me that he was leaving, I figured I would take a shot and see, and as it turned out, I was offered the position, and so far everything's been wonderful. I am planning to relocate here. I was going to give it a little while to make sure that everybody was happy on all sides before I made the move, sure. But that's definitely, my wife's looking at houses now, so.
Good.
And she's my best friend in the world, so that's what, if she's happy, I'm happy. So, and she has even noticed a difference in me when I'm coming home, that I'm the old Mike again. I'm the one that's joking and everything, but
that's what it's about.
Yeah, that's what it's about. That's right. So I'm tickled to death to be here, and I hope to be here. I've had one job in 27 years. I'd like to, at the end of it, when it's all said and done, have 2 jobs in 70 years if I can pull it off, but I doubt that.
There you go. So, now, is she a Louisville girl?
Yes. I've been with my wife since she was 14 and I was 15. She went to PRP High School.
PRP?
My parents went to PRP High School. I actually knew that she was going to be my wife the first week that I met her.
Did you really?
Yes, I told her that and scared her to death.
Oh my goodness.
So we have one daughter. She actually graduated from St. Catherine College before,
before things went goofy.
Yes, and she's doing excellent. She's engaged to be married to a wonderful young man named Kyle, they've been together 5 years, so he's already part of the family. Everything's changing in my life, but it seems like everything's changing for the good. So I'm just looking forward to every day.
It's not a bad area. We still have access to Louisville. Yeah, I mean, we're just up there if you need to see the family, right?
Right. Well, I'm more fond of E-Town than I am Louisville, I'm just going to say.
That's
so.
Awesome. That's what we want to hear.
Yeah.
But they're both great little communities.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm not trying to badmouth them. I'm really, I'm tickled to be down here with some of the people. I was walking in the judge's office the other day, and there was a elderly man, and he had his arm in a sling, and he had his leg in one of those boots. And he tried to hold the door open for me, and I said, "No, sir, you go." And we had a small argument about who was going to walk through the door. And I finally told him, I said, "Sir, my grandmother is up in heaven, and she's going to beat me with a shoe when I get there if I do not hold this door for you." And he said, "Well, son, I can't have your grandma mad at you." And he walked on in. And I don't get that in Louisville.
Okay.
It was wonderful. It was heartwarming for for him to want to hold the door for me and for me to want to hold the door for him, and that's just something I want to be part of.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And this is actually the first time I've been inside this facility. I've been across the street with my pup in the creek 1,000 times, but it's the first time I've been inside. So it's interesting for me to see the dynamics, and it appears that there's a lot of community support throughout the county for this.
Yes.
Is that your impression?
Yeah, we have 2 volunteer organizations. One of them is going to be represented here. The other is Paul's. They do tremendous work for us. I can't begin to tell you how wonderful it is to have the support that we have here. Joe Ellen, who will be in here, is is a very big reason why I wanted to come here. So,
excellent.
And she did not pay me to say that. So she did not promise me pie.
Put that 10 back in your pocket, Joe.
So it's really, it's a wonderful place. The shelter is probably, and there's very few people that can actually say this and know what they're talking about, and I happen to be that person. This is probably the best shelter, building-wise, in the state of Kentucky.
Interesting.
At one point, I spent my career going around and investigating other shelters to make sure they were up to code. This shelter is phenomenal. It's every career animal person's dream. So, but it's my dream, so stay away.
Our next guest is Ms. Joellen Thomas, and if you would, tell me a little bit about yourself and introduce us to Focus, and tell us about it, please.
Well, I'm glad to be here. It's good to be representing the shelter and Focus. I have been a volunteer with Hardin County Animal Shelter since 2011. So I've been here around 5 years. We transitioned into the new building in 2013. And that's about the time that Focus came on hand. Focus stands for Friends of Hardin County Animal Shelter, and our goals are somewhat broad, but we raise funds to help with medication and dogs or cats that need medical care that the shelter doesn't have money in the budget for. For instance, we just had 2 dogs go this past week for senior blood panels. They got a dental done and they were fixed at a local veterinarian's office because we don't have the capacity here at the shelter to take care of seniors or to do dentals. So we raise the funds to do that type of work. We have several dogs that come up with heartworm and we get those treated. So that's one of the things we do, is to try to help with medication for the dogs and cats in the shelter, and actually helping with dogs and cats that need extensive medical help so that they can get out, get adopted, or go to rescue. Another thing that Focus does is education. We try to work with the community, and especially children. I'm a retired educator, so I get out in the schools a lot and represent the shelter and the job of the shelter, and really what the shelter's job is for the community. There are several kids, Girl Scout troops, school groups, even homeschool groups have come for field trips here at the shelter. So we work with that kind of community help. Education, and of course we're always promoting spay and neuter in the community, because when you see many pets come into the shelter, you realize that the only way to cut those numbers basically is to spay and neuter, and it's very important. So Focus also raises a lot of funds to try to help with spay and neuter projects throughout the community. We also help with adoption events, promote the dogs and cats that are here at the shelter, hoping to get them adopted. Now
the adoption events, some of them are here, but some are different locations. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have several different types of adoption events. We usually do a big event once a month where the shelter goes out into the community.
Okay.
We did one last weekend at Pet Supplies Plus where there were some cats for adoption. We were celebrating their year anniversary of being open. We went to Rural King. We had dogs there available for adoption when they had their grand opening. Tomorrow we'll be at Hardin County Honda, and we will have the trailer, the new trailer that has been purchased for the shelter, and we will have 8 dogs there available. So we try to get out in the community for those type things, and we work to promote those dogs and cats on Facebook. We usually do a lot of the Facebook posts and trying to promote the available pets that are here and ready to be adopted. Also, we support the rescues because Hardin County takes in, probably around 3,000 to 4,000 animals a year when you consider dogs and cats. And so because, that's a lot of adopters to find. And when the shelter gets full, because we are an open intake shelter, we must free up space.
What's that mean, open intake?
An open intake shelter is, it means that any dog or cat that a Hardin County resident wants to surrender, we have to take.
Okay.
It doesn't matter the health condition or whatever. If a Hardin County citizen wants to surrender it here, then we must make space to take care of it. So that causes the shelter to fill up. And when we get full, then we have to free up space. So rescue becomes very important. And we work with over 100 different rescues throughout the United States and into Canada. We usually have a group of dogs that go out every week. That can range from anywhere from 7 to 27, depending on how well we've been able to get dogs out. Today we were excited because Kentucky Humane Society took 9 cats. And that is wonderful because cats are sort of hard to move because we are a rural county, and many people around here were raised like me on a farm. And in a farm community, if you want a cat, you can go, to your neighbor and probably be given a cat, So it's sometimes hard when we get full of cats to get them adopted because in a farm community, a rural county like we have here, those cats are going to be barn cats or shop cats or something like that, and people won't pay $60 to adopt a cat that they're going to not have as a pet. So because of that, we have a barn cat program, and Focus has worked with that. We also work with Farm Bureau, and anyone who is a farmer who is a member of Farm Bureau can come and get a cat free. Farm Bureau sponsors that to help us get cats out. So we have worked in several different ways to try to get as many pets out of here as we possibly can. But the rescue dogs and cats save several, and by being able to get a dog or a cat out to rescue frees up space. This room now is empty because Kentucky Humane has taken these 9 cats out of the communal room. So that means that we will get 9 to 13 more spayed or neutered and tested for feline leukemia and feline AIDS. And as soon as that's done, this room will fill up again. So that leaves space in the back.
Does that happen fairly quickly?
Not too bad. Right now, the surgery schedule, we usually do surgery schedules on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So there will be some cats on that schedule that will go through and do their spay and neuter and get their shots and their testing done next week. And so by this time next week, we hope to have this room full again.
Do the vets work with us on cost a little bit?
Oh yeah. The vets that we have working with us here are 2 retired vets. They are wonderful, and Dr. Elsie Gore and Dr. Anthony Yates has been retired they have been retired for several years, but they come in and do a day a week.
That's awesome.
And they do 10 to 15 pets, surgeries in a morning.
They do them here?
Yeah, they do them here. We have a surgical room here. It's equipped, and they do the surgical work here. We are very lucky here at Hardin County, are very blessed. But now they do not charge us nearly as much as what a surgery would be at your vet's office,
Sure.
in other words. And when we run into pets that they are not equipped to handle, then we take them to all the community vets, and all of them work with Focus to do whatever needs that animal has. You know, like this week we had a little beagle that we all thought was pregnant, but it turned out she was not pregnant. She was just impacted. You know, I mean, she had a big little belly, but you know, Heartland Veterinary Clinic helped us get all that lined out and straight, and she's healthy little beagle that's now quite adoptable. So we try to save as many dogs as we can that way, and cats too.
If someone wants to support Hardin County Animal Shelter, Focus or Paws, is that bad? How do they help?
Well, you know, there's several different ways that they can help. They can help the shelter, they can help Focus. A monetary donation is always appreciated by Focus. And I think Julia will probably tell you in a minute how people can make those donations. People can come in and actually sponsor pets. You know, if people are like me and your house is full and you need no more cats or dogs, you know, if you come in and you find that I'm just in love with this cat, and if I had space I would take it home, but I don't. You know, one thing that someone can do is pay the adoption fee for that cat. That's called a sponsorship, and we can handle that at the front desk. And then when someone comes in to pick out that cat, then that cat's fees are paid. So it's a nice surprise sometimes. We usually really appreciate that happening, and that happens a lot at Christmas time. A lot of times people will come in and they can't adopt any more pets, but they want to help because they're animal lovers. So they will sponsor a pet, either a cat or dog, and that's always a great thing to have. And of course, we always are looking for money for our medical fund. We always are needing it because there's always, it seems to be, you know, there's an emergency of some sort or some animal that needs help. So money is always, we're always looking for sponsorships.
So the adoption process, pretty straightforward?
Pretty straightforward. It's easy. It is comfortable to do. Someone, if they're interested in adopting a pet, they would come in, and people can come in during the adoptable hours between 12 and 4 here at the shelter. They can sign in, and they are free to visit. They can visit the cat rooms, they can see the cats, they can go to the dog adoptable areas and see all the dogs that are available. If they're interested, there's always a volunteer available to get the dog out so that they can interact with them. The volunteers have been trained on safety issues on handling those pets, so the volunteers would get them out, and then if they see a pet that they want to adopt, dogs must have an application. They're all adopted on an application process.
Okay.
So someone would fill out an application and present it to the receptionist, and they would go through that application. If there are some rules and requirements in Hardin County, if someone wants to adopt a bully breed, like a pit bull or a bulldog or something like that, they have to have a fenced-in yard.
Gotcha.
And if they are renters, we have to contact the landlord to make sure it's safe. We don't want to send a dog home and a landlord make them bring it back within a day. So usually, once that application is presented and you know the people go through it, that dog is available then to go home that day if the dog's already been spayed or neutered. If they've not been spayed or neutered, sometimes we get them on a surgery schedule and then they pick them up a day or two later.
Okay.
So it's easy. A lot easier than most people expect. And it can not, you know, it doesn't take a lot of time. You can come in and within an hour you can walk out with a pet if that's what you choose. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, Ms. Joellen, I sure appreciate it. And you said you're a retired educator. Where'd you teach?
Well, I worked in the Hardin County school system. I worked in Breckenridge County school system the first 10 years. I came to Hardin County, which I've been raised, and I was at Parkway Elementary for many years, and then I retired. And I haven't quit yet. They won't let me stop.
There you go.
I was at North Park part-time for a while. I was at Woodland part-time.
Gotcha.
Right now, I'm spending a little time at St. James
Are you?
Elementary.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah,
Good.
yeah. Keeps the mind working.
I'm a semi-retired educator.
Yeah, I understand.
I taught local middle school, and I still work about 3 days a week with school systems.
Yeah,
so
once you get ingrained, they won't
once
let
it's
you
in your
love.
blood,
Yeah.
You kind of still do it.
My passion are children, animals, and the senior citizens. And see, I'm getting to that point where I'm a senior, so I need more people out there to have that same passion as me, because I love to work with kids, with pets, and I so admire the senior citizens because you learn so much from all the experiences, so.
Our next guest is Miss Julia Springsteen. And if you would, Miss Julia, go ahead and tell us some information that we haven't heard this morning.
Well, I am president and co-founder of Friends of Hardin County Animal Shelter with Joellen, and we have Autumn O'Neill is also on our board, as is Leslie Clifford Smith. The four of us started Focus, as Joellen said, to support the shelter when it moved into this new building. One of the things that Joellen did not mention is that we are always on the lookout for volunteers and fosters. To be a volunteer at the animal shelter, whether you want to walk dogs or work with cats, you have to fill out a volunteer application and go through a training class. We're hoping to have more scheduled after the first of the year. And then you do some shadowing and additional training before you can come in and walk the dogs. We always need volunteers. Another thing we're working on is to build up our fostering program. As Joellen said, we often have pets with medical needs that come in if a dog was hit by a car. And has to go to the vet and get his leg set, or if he's having heartworm treatment, then they need to be in homes while they recuperate before they become available for adoption. And so we have a foster application at the front desk and also on the Hardin County government website for animal care and control. And again, there's a class involved in some training, but we're always looking for new fosters and volunteers to come in.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, like Joellen said as well, our medical fund, with the heartworm positive dogs and the sick cats and the dogs get hit by cars and every other medical ailment that we've seen that comes through here that they can't handle. Our medical fund, the Focus Medical Fund, is always in need of donations. Recently, we've had a blind poodle that was found. We just adopted out Clifford. If you go to our website, www.focus.org, you can see pictures of Clifford. He was a big yellow lab who was hit by a car, and he had his leg pinned back together. He is happy in his new adopter's home in Lexington, but he was expensive, and so is Elmer, our blind poodle. And so we, like Joellen said, we always have sick and injured pets, and that's what our medical fund is for.
Okay.
And we could always use donations also at our website.
Thank you. And if we had
Yes.
15 more minutes, we really explore things.
We can keep
Appreciate
talking.
it. Appreciate it, the man behind the camera, Mr. Kelly Berry. And Kelly, make us all look good, okay? Please. Especially the old man here. All right, later. For Issues and Insights, I'm George Pennington. We appreciate your time. Thank you.